at one point was the capital of the northern kingdom, which consisted of 9.5 tribes. Judah, Benjamin, and a portion of the tribe of Levi were considered the kingdom of Judah. Now I'm going to put my finger there so you can move down to Judah. Whose capital was Jerusalem, just right up north of it. Okay? And then you have right above Jerusalem, then you have Israel. That was the northern kingdom, just north, whose capital was Samaria. Now the Samaritans, in other words, during the time of the Assyrians, we're going to read this in 2 Kings chapter 17, and I believe we're going to start at like verse 12 or 13. What verse is it?
Verse 13.
We're going to read 2 Kings chapter 17, and we're going to start at verse 13, and it's going to tell how by the time Christ, we'll put it like this, during the 7th century, that when the Assyrian Empire conquered the northern kingdom, they took all the Israelites out, and they took people from Babylon and other areas and put them there instead. So when Christ came, approximately 700 years later, there weren't Israelites dwelling there. That place was inhabited by foreigners that were from people from Babylon and Assyria that were implanted in. Now we're going to go read that right now in 2 Kings chapter 17, beginning at verse 13. Go ahead, brother, when you're ready.
Verse 13. Yet the Lord testified against Israel and against Judah.
When it says against Israel, he's saying he testified against the northern kingdom. When he says he testified against Judah, he testified against the southern kingdom. So, like I said, in the 9th century, the nation had been divided. And in the 7th century, the Most High began to send in foreigners and to spoil us because we would not listen. Go ahead, this is just one account. Continue.
By all the prophets and by all the seers.
In other words, the Most High had been warning us by the prophets. Continue.
Saying, turn ye from your evil ways, and keep my commandments and my statutes, according to all the law which I commanded your fathers.
So the Lord did not give our forefathers, or anybody for that matter, religion. But what he did give us was laws, statutes, and commandments, for which breaking we went into slavery. Go ahead.
And which I sent to you by my servants the prophets.
Go ahead.
Verse 14. Notwithstanding, they would not hear.
Yeah, we would not, our forefathers wouldn't listen. Continue.
But hardened their necks, like the neck of their fathers, that did not believe in the Lord their God.
Go ahead.
And they rejected his statutes.
In other words, what were the statutes? For the most part, we weren't supposed to be mingling ourselves with the different philosophies of the neighboring nations. So we were continually doing things like sacrificing our children to the idols of the surrounding peoples in the area. Literally killing our kids. We would do abominable things. When you read, listen, it's good to read that history because you see how there were periods of time where the homosexuals or faggots was allowed to run rampant in the land. And there would be certain kings that would literally come and the Lord would use them to kill them all. Then his grace would be turned back on the land. And then you had other kings would allow faggots and idolatry and witches to run rampant, and then the Most High's disfavor would fall upon the land. Go ahead.
Verse 15. And they rejected his statutes and his covenant that he made with their fathers.
Go ahead.
And his testimonies which he testified against them.
When it said they rejected his testimonies, they kept rejecting the prophets who the Lord sent to try to reprove them. Go ahead.
And they followed vanity and became vain and went after the heathen that were round about.
When it says went after the heathen, literally, we began to intermingle with the nations. And the worst thing was, the intermingling was literally talking about adopting their philosophies because the men of Israel already had concubines of the other nations. When it says mingling, literally, we began to take on the philosophies and adopt the practices of all these nations. Go ahead.
Concerning whom the Lord had charged them that they should not do like them. Verse 16. And they left all the commandments of the Lord their God and made them molten images.
See that? Molten images meaning they took silver, gold, and melted them down into different images. Go ahead.
Even 2 calves and made a grove.
Made 2 calves. A grove is like a big area, outdoors area that was used to put statues where people would go and honor and do sacrifices to their statues. Go ahead.
And worship all the hosts of heaven.
They worship in the stars, worship in, we was in the moon worship, we was in literally the sun worship. We picked that up from the Egyptians. Never let that go. The sun worship, which is what modern day Christianity is. If you follow the standard Christian doctrine, literally today, you are a follower of sun worship. You're a follower of Baal worship. Baal was, for the most part, an ancient name for Nimrod. Okay? All denominations, okay, of Christianity stem from the Roman Catholic Church. You haven't done no research about the Protestant Reformation? About how the different church fathers and the different figures and officials within the Catholic Church just at about the same era time of the Renaissance or just post-Renaissance began to break away from the Catholic Church, like John Calvin, Martin Luther, and all the different church figures, and created Lutheranism, created Calvinism. Then, of course, later on, you had a guy named Charles T. Russell, that first was known as the Russellites, and then went on to later to become more popularly known as Jehovah's Witnesses. These are all doctrines that come from the Catholic Church. And the Catholic Church is nothing more than Babylonian Eastern mysticism superimposed over Christian or biblical names and images. That's all it is. That practice is not the practice of the Most High. That's why they do things like Easter. That's why they have observances like Christmas. You can read about those two in the Bible, man. In the book of Jeremiah. About how they decorate the trees with silver and gold. About how every time this time of year they make up cakes. And they go and burn firewood, and all that type of stuff. People don't even understand what, like I said, we'll be having specific lessons for that. But these are the ancient practices that are, today we do it in ignorance. Because that's what happens when you get brought over on slave ships, get your nationality, beat the hell out of you, and be given anything. You just follow it. But back in the days, what got us into that condition was we willfully did it. Read on down.
And serve Baal.
Read verse 16 again.
Verse 16 again. And they left all the commandments of the Lord their God, and made them molten images, even 2 calves.
2 calves, we're talking about 2 small cows. A calf is like a baby or a young cow. Go ahead.
And made a grove.
Continue.
And worshipped all the hosts of heaven, and served Baal.
Continue.
And they caused their sons and their daughters to pass through the fire.
Your forefathers was burning your children. Alright? That's why we enslaved. It said we cause our children to pass through the fire. Meaning that let me say this. What do you think the log is like? You know, they have the chestnuts roasting on the open fire. They always got Nat King Cole singing them songs about roasting marshmallows, whatever the hell it is they roast them. That was all symbolic. The Yule log. That practice in Christmas, the term Yule, Y-U-L-E, is a Chaldean or ancient Babylonian term that means child. Go look it up. And so when they took the Yule log and put on the fire, it was symbolic to this very day. It's symbolic of the true child that we used to literally burn to the God, to the deity Baal. That's what we used to do, man. Or another one was Molech, which was an owl or a bull, like I said, a cow, that we would worship. So this is what we were doing. Now you think, oh, that's why the Most High brought us over here and gave us to the white man to let the white man's abuse us. Since you like being abused so much, the Most High said, I'm going to give you somebody that's going to be the master of abuse. You want to burn yourself? You want to burn your kids? He's going to have people burn this. And let me say this. Let me get some more signs. I knew it was going to come across it. I'm bringing them over here. Don't worry, Captain Person. Got to get the signs.